Have you ever wondered what it takes for a person to leave everything behind and embark on a life-threatening journey for the mere chance of a better future? Imagine for a moment being compelled to abandon your home, your family, and everything you hold dear. This is the reality for thousands of Africans each year who find themselves making the desperate and perilous journey across the Mediterranean Sea to Europe. What drives these individuals to risk their lives on such a dangerous voyage? The reasons are as diverse as they are heartrending. Many flee from the clutches of poverty, yearning for a chance to escape the cycle of destitution that has ensnared their lives. Others are running from violence, from the relentless brutality of war that has decimated their homes and snuffed out their hopes. Then there are those escaping persecution, the terror of being targeted for their beliefs, their identity, or their political stance. And yet the journey they undertake to find safety and a better life is fraught with its own set of terrors. The Mediterranean Sea is a formidable adversary, its waves an unending challenge for the makeshift boats that are often their only means of crossing. The journey is lethal for many. The sea doesn't discriminate. It swallows the hopes and lives of the young and old, the strong and the weak, the men and the women. But it's not just the natural elements they must contend with. They are also at the mercy of human predators, those who exploit their desperation, those who turn a blind eye to their plight, and those who deny them the sanctuary they seek. This is a story of survival, a story of death. It's a tale of the human spirit pitted against unimaginable odds. But more than that, it's a narrative shaped and driven by a political context that seems indifferent to their suffering. This is a story of survival, death, and the political context driving this mass migration. Let's delve into the personal stories of those who have made this perilous journey. First, we meet Aisha, a young Nigerian woman who fled her homeland to escape the violence of Boko Haram. Aisha's story is one of courage, resilience, and the sheer will to survive. She left everything behind, braving the treacherous waters of the Mediterranean on an inflatable boat, driven by the hope of a safer future. Next, we encounter Mohammed, a Somali father who dared the impossible for his children's future. War and famine had turned his home into a living nightmare. Mohammed's tale is one of a father's love, a love so powerful it could withstand the fear and uncertainty of a dangerous voyage across the sea. And then there's Elena, an Eritrean refugee escaping political and religious persecution. Her journey was not one of choice, but of necessity. Elena's story reveals the desperate lengths people will go to protect their basic human rights, the right to live freely, to practice their religion, and to express their political beliefs. These are not just stories. They are lived experiences, real people who have faced unimaginable horrors, who have endured the hardships of a journey that many do not survive. They are stories of courage, of individuals compelled to confront danger head-on. They reveal the realities of their homeland, realities so harsh that they felt their only option was to risk their lives on a perilous journey. Yet amid the fear and the hardship there is hope. The hope for a better life, for safety, for peace. This hope, this unyielding optimism, is what keeps them going, what fuels their determination to survive. It is this hope that we must remember when we think of their journey, and as we listen to their stories, we gain a deeper understanding of the human cost of this migration crisis, a crisis that demands our attention and our empathy. These stories are a testament to the human spirit, to the hope that fuels people to face unimaginable hardship. But for thousands, this journey ends in tragedy. Each year, the Mediterranean Sea becomes a watery grave for countless African migrants. The chilling death toll is a grim testament to the perils they face in their quest for a better life. Shipwrecks are a common occurrence, with overcrowded, poorly constructed boats succumbing to the merciless waves. Drownings are an all too frequent fate for those who cannot swim or are thrown overboard by turbulent seas. Inhuman conditions on board the vessels also claim lives. Dehydration, starvation, and exposure to harsh weather elements are silent killers that stalk these desperate travelers. Women and children are especially vulnerable in these perilous journeys. They bear the brunt of physical hardships and are often the first victims when disaster strikes. Their tragic end is a haunting reminder of the grave risks these migrants are willing to take. Despite the alarming statistics, the response of authorities has often been found wanting. There is a dire need for effective measures to prevent these catastrophic journeys. Yet, the failure to act is not just a matter of policy, but also sparks a moral debate. The Mediterranean is not just a body of water separating two continents. It has become a symbol of the indifference of much of the world to the plight of these desperate people. It raises poignant questions about the moral responsibility of Europe and the wider international community. Are we doing enough to prevent these tragedies? Are we turning a blind eye to a humanitarian crisis unfolding on our shores? Are we allowing our seas to become graveyards because we are unwilling to confront the uncomfortable truths about migration? These stories of death in the Mediterranean are not just statistics. They are a reminder of the human cost of illegal migration. They are a call to our collective conscience, a plea for empathy, and a demand for action. These stories are a stark reminder of the human cost of illegal migration. But what drives this mass migration? Let's delve into the political factors underpinning this desperate quest for a better life. At the heart of this mass migration, we find extreme poverty, wars, violence, political and religious persecution. African countries, rich in culture and heritage, are unfortunately often marred by these harsh realities, pushing millions to seek refuge elsewhere. The lack of opportunities, both economic and educational, further exacerbates the situation. The promise of a better life in Europe, therefore, becomes a beacon of hope in the face of such adversity. However, the journey to this promised land is not straightforward. Restrictive migration policies in Europe pose significant hurdles. These policies, often enacted to regulate immigration and ensure national security, unintentionally fuel illegal migration, as legal avenues become increasingly inaccessible for many. The consequences of these policies and the resulting illegal migration are multifaceted. For Europe, the integration of migrants poses a significant challenge. Language barriers, differences in cultural norms, and the sheer volume of incoming migrants can strain resources and infrastructure. In tandem with this, we witness a rise in xenophobia and racism. Migrants, often scapegoated for societal issues, find themselves at the receiving end of hostility and discrimination. The narrative of the other creates divisions within communities and hampers efforts at integration. Moreover, this situation gives rise to a sinister underbelly of exploitation. Human trafficking networks take advantage of the desperation of these individuals, promising safe passage for exorbitant fees, often leading to tragic outcomes. In essence, the political landscape is a complex web of causes and consequences. The push factors in African countries and the pull factors of Europe, intertwined with restrictive policies and societal challenges, create a cycle that fuels this mass migration. It's a complex issue that requires a multifaceted approach, considering both the causes and consequences. The political landscape is a complex web of causes and consequences. This tragedy is a call to action. We cannot remain silent spectators. The plight of these brave individuals, risking their lives to escape unimaginable horrors, demands our collective action. We must address the root causes of migration: extreme poverty, war, violence, political and religious persecution, lack of opportunities and development. These are not problems that can be solved overnight, but they are not insurmountable either. It requires concerted efforts from governments, non-governmental organizations, and individuals alike to pave the way for change. In Europe, the call to action is to implement fair and humane migration policies. Policies that do not merely focus on keeping migrants out, but rather on providing them with safe, legal pathways to migration. Policies that recognize the invaluable contributions that migrants can and do make to their host societies. Policies that are grounded in empathy, compassion, and respect for human dignity. Protecting the human rights of migrants is another crucial aspect of this call to action. Regardless of their legal status, migrants are human beings deserving of respect, dignity, and protection. They should not be subjected to inhumane conditions during their journey or exploitation upon their arrival. They should not be left to die in the Mediterranean Sea. Finally, this call to action is a plea for solidarity and shared responsibility. The migration crisis is not just Africa's problem or Europe's problem. It is a global problem. It is our problem. We must all share in the responsibility of addressing it. We must stand in solidarity with those who are forced to make these perilous journeys and with those who welcome them into their communities. The tragedy of Africans crossing the Mediterranean is a plea for our collective action, empathy, and humanity. To ignore this plea is to turn our backs on our shared humanity. Let's not let the Mediterranean Sea continue to be a graveyard for dreams. Let's rise to this call to action. Let's make a difference. Let's honor our shared humanity.